today's episode of Project TJ, we're changing oil. I hate changing oil. Stay tuned. I'm not joking when I say it, but I really do dislike changing oil in cars. Putting the new stuff in is fine, but getting the old stuff out is ugh. Anyway, needs to be done. We're looking at taking TJ on a few trips shortly, and as such, it needs to be reliable. We're doing engine oil and filter, gearbox oil, and hopefully rear diff oil if we have enough time this weekend. But first, we're going to go and pressure wash the engine and gearbox, because there's nothing worse than working on a dirty car. First off, we're going to do the engine. Now, I always use an oil flush. Just pour it in, let it run for 10 or 15 minutes, and then dump the oil out of the sump. I know there's for and against for using this. I've never had a problem, and I've never had a sludge build up in my engine either. Probably wouldn't use it on a really old, worn engine, but we've always used it on this. Now for me, this is a 5/8 socket, the sump plug, make sure your bucket is underneath. Just let that drain. Don't lose the sump plug. Now to remove the oil filter, there's all sorts of tools you can use. I've used most, including just ramming a screwdriver through the filter casing. I've found this to be one of the better ones. It gives you good purchase on the sides of the filter and a leverage to give it a twist. Moving the oil filter is best to access from above. Put your clamp on it. Screw it partly with those and then by hand. You should be able to get that out without too much waste falling down the block. Before you install the new filter, lube up the gasket with a little bit of oil, do it up hand tight and then half a turn. We've already done up the sump plug. We've got our funnel. Now I don't have a favourite oil brand for this car. I generally get something that comes in a 6-litre container because you're going to use most of it. I use a full synthetic. This time we're using a Penrite 5W40. It states that it's fine for vehicles using 5W30 weight. So we'll let that drain, check the dipstick, give it a run, let the oil filter fill up a bit, and we're good to go. Okay, it's gearbox time. Now, with the gearbox I do have a preference for oil, and that's Redline. I've got no association with them. However, I was once told to use it in a very worn gearbox of a race car, and didn't believe them, but did put it in, and it got me through the rest of the season. And it gave me quite smooth shifting, so it is magic in a can. In this application it's MTL, I think the other one's MT90, but well worth hunting down and using. We need 2 quarts of this. Basically we just dump it out of the gearbox, the old stuff, and refill up to the level of the fill hole using a pump. You can use a hose, long hose with a funnel on the end, I have used in the past, but spend the 20 or 30 bucks on a pump, well worth it. So let's get into it. So we've got a 17mm drain plug and a 14mm filler plug. We need to undo the filler plug first, because if we can't get this out and we drain the oil out, it isn't a good thing. And lastly, undo the filler plug. Now you will get some metal shavings on the magnetic filler plug, but they're not too bad. If you've got great chunks there, you've got a problem. So we've done up the sump plug. Let's put the hose in there and pump the fluid in. So I've got one bottle in already. Just need to refill that and get the rest in. And this is the second quart. And as soon as it starts to come out, it's full. You don't need to over tighten those either, because you'll strip the thread. I think it's about a 20 pound torque setting, 20-25 pound. Okay, gearbox oil finished. For what it's worth, I've just taken the Jeep for a test drive after doing the gearbox oil, and it is shifting much sweeter, so this stuff is the goods. Onto the rear diff. Now I've done this last because I actually hate doing diffs in these things. Unlike a lot of the modern cars where you've got a drain hole and a fill hole, on the Danas you actually have to take the cover off to drain it, and it is disgusting. And gear oil doesn't smell the best. It has to be done. Yes, I do realise I could buy an ARB cover or something, but I haven't. Okay. Get the oil out of the diff, it's a 1/2 inch socket. You need to undo all of the bolts all around the cover. You need a bucket to catch your oil. And then gently prise off the cover, and hopefully you'll catch all of the oil that will just flow out. Yuck. Now you're going to have to go around and clean up all the silicone off the diff face and the diff cover face. Make sure you use a scraper and not a screwdriver. You don't want to put any scratches in it. And then the best bit about this is you get to slop out the rest of the gear oil out of the housing, which is pretty disgusting. And you need to go around this and get the rest of the silicone off. And then give this a good clean. Now you need to clean up the face. I just use some wax and grease remover. Now with some silicone gasket, you just need to lay bead around the edge of it. So we've cleaned up all the faces of both. We've laid our RTV around it. And now we just need to offer this up to the cover. Now luckily my 1/4 inch reduction socket fits the fill hole on this. So all we have to do is fill it up. So again we just use the oil pump and transfer the oil into the diff until it starts running out of the fill hole. And she's full. And job done. So that's it guys, hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next week. Next week, Sway Bar Disconnects. See ya.